Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of When Reality Hits. I have an amazing guest on today. I'm so excited to dive into this. Hello, Miss Amber Rae.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm going to read a little bit about you so that the listeners know exactly what's going on here. Amber Rae, an internationally best-selling author, motivational speaker, and creative entrepreneur, Amber just released Lovable on August 5th through St. Martin's Press. Lovable is a raw, transformative, and deeply inspiring memoir that pulls readers in from the very first page. With courageous honesty, Amber shares her story of leaving her husband for another man, enduring a sexless and isolating marriage, navigating a complicated relationship with her mother, surviving abuse from her stepfather, struggling with an eating disorder and addiction, childbirth in her late 30s, and more. Wow. That is
I don't know who gave you that bio. I was like, that one.
That is a lot to unpack. How are you feeling with releasing so much personal information out to the world?
You know, honestly, I thought I was going to have a vulnerability hangover, but I don't. And maybe it's because I've done a lot of work to feel at peace with the story and at peace with where I'm at in the story. If I had released this book 3-4 years ago when I was in the midst of people shaming me, I probably would have had much different feelings about it. But now I just feel relieved for it to be in the world.
So you talk about people shaming you. I'm guessing a lot of that is because you met a man while you were married. And tell me how that happened. How did this happen? How did you know that you were in a marriage for 9 years, correct?
I was in a marriage for 2 years, but we were engaged for 7.
Okay.
So we were together for a total of 9. And he was my best friend, but he was never my romantic partner. And I was desperately trying to convince myself that he was my person. And it was confusing because he was a good guy and I really wanted him to be my guy. But I think, when certain aspects of the relationship are missing, the relationship can only go so far. So I was kind of deluding myself. I can make this work. I can figure this out. If we go to another workshop or read another book together or do this or this, maybe then I'll find the closeness and intimacy that I'm after.
Yeah.
And so, 9 years in, we left the pandemic in New York. We were living in New York and moved to Todos Santos. And we were building this land project down there and raising money for it. And 2 potential investors came over and they brought it. They had a friend tag along. And when I looked into the eyes of that friend, I had
you were with your husband whenever you
my husband when I met.
No way. This story is crazy. Okay.
But it was the craziest thing I've ever experienced. It was this kind of soul knowing you're my person kind of feeling and oh, this is what connection feels like, which was of course very confusing because I was married. And my initial thoughts were that's insane. You're married. Okay. Yes. Maybe you met a soulmate, but what are you nuts? What are you going to blow up your life in marriage for this stranger? But that evening we were all there together and him and I talked for hours and just felt a lot of and it wasn't oh, I want you kind of connection. It was just we very much were just lit up with each other. And when they left that evening, I turned to my then husband and I said, I just met a soulmate.
What did he say?
He said, I saw, and that was beautiful to witness.
He said that was beautiful to witness?
Yeah. And, I think, when you're just friends in a marriage, I think there was and I think we weren't yet there, but we were so much in the story of our relationship and what we wanted our relationship to be that we were not in the reality of what our relationship really was. And I think it was because that was too scary and painful to look at. And if we were really honest about what our relationship was, that we were just friends, then we'd have to do something about it. And I think we were comfortable because we got along and there was so much that was working. That looking at it was oh, what are we going to do about that? So I genuinely think that he wanted me to, you know, as someone who like cares about your friend, genuinely wanted, like, I think he meant that honestly and sincerely.
Wow. So your ex-husband is obviously a good man.
He's a good man. Yeah.
Are you guys still friends? Are you still close, or how?
When we separated, it was like there were like occasional touching base and things like that. But I think it was like, you know, he's now remarried and has a whole separate life. And so, you know, we'll have like friendly touch bases, but we, you know, kind of went our separate ways.
Well, that's good. That's good that there's not like a bunch of hate, you know, like with my situation, can't hardly stand my ex at all. So that has to feel good that you kind of like left in a better way than him being so angry with you that you met somebody new. How long did it take you to actually leave your marriage after you met this new man?
Yeah. And not to say that it was like all rainbows and butterflies, because the whole range of emotions were there. There was anger, we went through all of it.
Okay.
And so it was just like his initial support. But of course, you know,
it had to burn.
Yeah, it had to burn.
Yeah.
But yeah, so from when I met John, I knew a few weeks, because then I thought, you know, I was still kind of in this story of like, okay, well, he can't be, he's not clearly I'm married, so he can't be my person. So I'll make him my design partner in this project. So then we started collaborating together on the project, which is when I was like, okay, you have to be honest with yourself. And so within like a couple of weeks, I knew that I was catching feelings for John. So I went and told my ex. But from the time I met John to when our marriage ended, and then I began to explore what was there with John, it was about 6 weeks.
Wow.
Very, very quick.
So John obviously felt the same way. He felt the connection right away too. Did you guys talk about that at all? Like beforehand?
When we were going to explore working together, I said to him, listen, I feel like I just need to name that, like, maybe there's a connection here, and am I crazy? And he said to me, you know, I sense that when I met you as well, but you know, you're married, you're not available to me. So my thinking was like, oh, you know, he's like, and I'll be honest, I like felt some sadness and grief, because it did feel like the universe was kind of like showing me who my person is, but it was confusing because here you are in this seemingly happy marriage. So his interpretation of it initially was like, I guess I'm just seeing the kind of woman that I'm interested in. And, you know, my work here is just like to love her without possession, like love unconditionally without like needing to have her.
Wow. That is an amazing story. So you obviously believe in soulmates.
I do believe in soulmates. And I don't think like we have one soulmate.
Right.
I think there are people with whom we have just a very profound and deep connection.
Did you believe in that before you met John, or did that really change your perspective?
I think, you know, I did, because I would even say that my ex was a soulmate in a way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like more of like a friend soulmate, but like in the 9 years that we shared together, there was a lot of growth. There was a lot of healing. There was a lot of creative expansion. I feel like I really found my like voice and my creativity in my work. And I think it was very healing for him in a lot of ways. It wasn't like, oh, this is my like romantic soulmate, but I did feel like, oh, I feel like I know this. Like I felt like I knew him when I met him. It was very different. So, you know, but I think it deepened in terms of like, I'd say even my like belief in God or the universe, because it really felt like I lost my father when I was a girl, and he had lost his father. And it was just like, my father's always visited me as a monarch butterfly, which might sound crazy.
No, I believe in signs. I believe in all that stuff.
It was like butterflies everywhere and ladybugs, and then I started dreaming about him, and he started talking to me in my dreams and telling me that like this was all by design, and that like he had met John's dad in spirit land.
I got chill bumps.
It was crazy. It was like, it felt like, so I felt like I deepened my connection with my father. I never really had a relationship while he was alive, because I was so young when he passed. And it did like give me this like deeper connection with God and the universe. That's amazing.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. That's such an incredible story. But you were talking about how you felt a lot of shame. Did you feel like from your family and friends, they were like, what the hell is she thinking? What's going on? Like, was it kind of like that?
There was a mix. There were, some of my closest girlfriends who were kind of like, thank God, because I think for them, they knew that the relationship was limited in a lot of ways and they wanted me to be really happy and to experience, big true love. And then I think for other friends, they didn't understand, or it was like triggering for them because maybe one of their parents left for someone else. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I got there was people who called me selfish and terrible and awful, and how could I do this to him? There were a lot of feelings and projections and shame, which initially for me, and I think why I stayed so long in the relationship was because I didn't want to hurt him.
Yeah,
I didn't want to disappoint anyone. And so I did that at the cost of myself. And so
I understand that more than you could know, because I stayed in a very unhealthy relationship. I don't know if you watched The Valley or anything like that, but it's all out there for the world to see how crazy my relationship was. And a lot of times I didn't want to disappoint my family. I've come from a religious family. Okay. And, whenever you get married, you don't get divorced. Like that's like what you strive to. Not that everybody does that. My mom has been remarried and, but it was just something that was like really hard on me, even though I knew that I needed to leave that situation. But I understand what you mean. Like you don't want to disappoint people. And that was like something that was really hard on me as well. Did you have children with your first husband?
No children.
Okay.
Yeah. That makes it harder.
Yeah. That's good. Because a lot of times, and I talk about this a lot, like with my son, a lot of people were like, you stay for the kids. And, and they're so unhappy for the rest of their lives because they try to stay for their kids, or they wait till they make it through college and then they get divorced or something like that. But for me, it was the opposite. Like my son was seeing this toxic relationship and he was seeing me getting yelled at and, seeing me being mistreated. And it just like opened my eyes and completely switched it for me, where it gave me the strength to leave instead of like feeling like I had to stay.
I love that so much. I can't tell you how many women are in my DMs right now because they've, read my book or heard this story and they want to leave, but they're staying for the kids.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like I can't say don't stay for the kids because I didn't have kids when it all went down. But I feel like our kids need to see us model. Like we need to teach them how we want them to behave. We need to teach them what real love and respect looks like. We need to teach them how to not abandon themselves, how to honor themselves. So I'm just like, I love that you did what was right and true for you.
That was a big deal for me. I didn't want my son to ever grow up and think it was okay to treat a woman or a partner or whatever he does down the road in any kind of disrespectful way like that. I didn't want him to ever mirror what he saw in his home. And I think that him seeing a happy mom and having like happy household was so much more important.
Yeah.
So Cruz is about to go back to school. It's really crazy how fast he's growing. I always want the best for Cruz and to help him as much as I possibly can. Parents, if you're looking for the best fit for your child this year, there is still time. With K-12 powered schools, you can help your child succeed now and in the future. K-12 powered schools are accredited, tuition-free online public schools for students in kindergarten through 12th grade. Designed with an engaging curriculum that supports individual learning styles, K-12 has been the leader in online education for over 25 years, helping students gain the skills they need to thrive in the future. K-12 has state-certified teachers specially trained in teaching online. They receive ongoing professional development to stay current on the most effective instructional methods and make learning interactive with hands-on, innovative technology. K-12 even offers social opportunities, extracurricular activities, and in-person events. Join the more than 3 million families who have chosen K-12 and empower your student to reach their full potential now. As mamas, we all want to do the best we can, so definitely give this a look. There is still time to enroll for the school this year. Go to k12.com/Brittany today to find a tuition-free K-12 powered school near you and enroll now. That's the letter K, the number 12.com/Brittany, k12.com/Brittany. Look it up, guys. We always want the best for our kids. This ad is brought to you by Vive Healthcare, the makers of Apretude Cabotegravir. You never skip your SPF, and you carry hand sanitizer like an accessory. But what are you doing for HIV prevention? One way to help protect yourself from HIV is Apretude, a prescription medicine used to reduce the risk of getting HIV in adults and adolescents weighing at least 77 pounds. You must be HIV negative to receive Apretude and get tested before each injection. If you think you're exposed to HIV or have flu-like symptoms, tell your doctor right away. More HIV testing may be needed. Apretude does not prevent other sexually transmitted infections. Practice safer sex to reduce your risk. Get Apretude as scheduled. Missing doses increases your HIV risk. Don't take Apretude if allergic to it or taking certain medicines that may interact. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions, liver problems, and mental health. Serious side effects include allergic reactions or rash, liver problems, and depression. If these occur, get medical help right away. The most common side effect is injection site reaction. Bring your A game and talk to your doctor. Learn more at apretude.com or call 1-888-240-0340. When Reality Hits is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it can mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Yeah, that's been a whole thing. And like we were saying, it's a lot more comfortable to stay. Did you guys have like a home together, a house together?
I mean, we were building a home project. So we were in the middle, we had bought land together, and we were in the middle of big plans for not only our family home, but we were building like a kind of retreat center for other people.
Oh, wow.
So that was a big thing. And his like family helped invest in the project. It was like, oh my gosh, the timing of this can be more inconvenient. I'm going to let him down, let his family down, let our shared community down, hurt everyone. So I can't go. But ultimately realize the selfish decision, what I think can be a self-honoring decision.
Yeah. And I love that. I love that you talk about that so much. I was doing research on you and like looking at your Instagram page, and you definitely say that a lot. Like, a lot of people think it's selfish, but you deserve to be happy.
Yeah.
And how did you finally get the strength to like come to that point? Because there's going to be so many women that are listening to this that are in limbo. Like, what should I do? What should I do?
Yeah. So I'll share a few things for the woman in limbo. One is my friend Vienna, who I talk about in the book. She's a therapist, and she was really helpful with the idea of like people who overstay versus people who overleave. And I realized that I'm an overstayer, and an overstayer is someone who like tends to like fall into like good girl harmony, people pleasing, don't want to disappoint, don't want to let anyone down. And so they sacrifice themselves so they don't sacrifice anyone else. And the edge or the growth for them is to stand up for themselves, to speak their truth, and to, if that requires leaving, to leave. And then there's the overleavers, which are the people that is like, as soon as it gets too intimate or as soon as there's too much closeness, they kind of freak out and they tend to leave quickly. Mm-hmm. And like the work for them might be to have the hard conversation, to like lean into intimacy, and actually to learn to stay. So, I think it's helpful to like, do you tend to overstay or overleave?
Yeah.
Like, so
I'm an overstayer for sure.
Overstayer, say, 7 years engaged, like if that wasn't a red flag in and of itself. And then I'd say the other thing is a girlfriend of mine, as I was going through it and so filled with shame, I called her and she said to me, liberation is a two-way street. And when you make the courageous choice, it aligns each person to the right thing, because no one is benefiting from like your needs and desires not being met. And no one is benefiting from you being half in. Like, he could have someone out there who is like so perfectly matched to him. And like, yes, he may be upset and angry and people might not understand and people might judge you and shame you. But like, it gives you guys, it sets both of you free.
Yeah.
So that you can go align with like a path that's so much more true for you. And that was really helpful, because I realized like, oh yeah, this isn't good for him either. And I think as someone who is like the pleaser and the overstayer, I needed to know like he would be okay.
Yeah.
But also like having to untether from like having to take care of everyone and having to take care of everyone's feelings and having to make sure everyone's okay. Like, you know, my childhood chaos and unpredictability had me like so hyper vigilant and attuned to everyone's moods and emotions and making it like trying to keep the harmony and peace so that I would be okay.
Yeah.
And so I was overly looking outside of myself. And so the work was coming back to myself and being like, wait, what do I need to feel okay? What do I need to like be true to myself? And then, you know, speaking those truths out loud and saying the hard things. And like, you know, the truth can be really scary, but I believe the truth is the kindest thing.
Yeah. I mean, I need advice myself because I am such a people pleaser. Mm-hmm. I know that about myself. I have been that way my entire life. And, like, I can't stand if I think somebody's mad at me.
Yeah.
Like, it drives me insane. It'll keep me up all night. My brain won't shut off. I can't sleep. Like, it's like really bad. And being on reality TV makes it even harder because we are like not forced, but we definitely have those conversations when we might just like not talk to each other for a long time or something. Do you know what I mean? But like we're constantly having these conversations and talking things out and stuff like that. Do you think you've gotten better at that? Like being a people pleaser? Is it still part of you?
Yeah, it still comes up. There are still moments where I like go to say yes when I want to say no because I don't want to disappoint the other person. Or there are moments when, it's like so much easier to just like push my truth down and not say anything because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But, you know, I think that my big learning has been instead of tolerating like, I'm having to learn to tolerate the discomfort, like just sit with the discomfort of other people's disappointment and disapproval.
Yeah.
And instead
That's
of
so
hard, but it's like, you know, it takes 90 seconds for an emotion to move through our body, like per neuroscience, but it's the story that we create about it that will spin and spin and spin. So like, maybe we feel like overwhelmed with like, oh, this feels so uncomfortable. But then it's like, are they mad at me?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like when we go into those thoughts, that's what can linger. And
I mean, somebody might not like answer my text or like call me back and I'm like, they're mad at me. And then they'll like write me back the next day and be like my friend Zach, I didn't hear from him yesterday. And I was like, this is weird. We talk all the time. Why is he not talking to me? He's mad at me. And then he texted me the next day and was like, Brittany, I was so sick yesterday. And I was like, and he was like, why were you freaking out? And I was like, I don't know why I was freaking out. I just like thought you were mad at me. And I know I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And it's just like I create little stories in my head and I think the worst. And then it's not even nowhere near what I was thinking. I don't know why I do that.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Like, what does that remind you of growing up? Why do you think, like, was that a pattern you had as a little girl?
I went through some things in my childhood that I haven't really talked about publicly. Yeah. I'm not ready to yet, but I definitely went through some things growing up that I think just made me want to always put on like a happy face and happy and positive and not fighting, no conflict. Like I didn't want that, you know, but then it was weird because I married somebody who was very like confrontational and very like, I don't know why that led me to where my last relationship was. Yeah. It's something I'm going to have to work out within myself.
Yeah.
But I definitely think, and you know, I grew up in like the pageant world and I'm from the South and there's like different things like that where I just kind of grew up that way as well. Like you're always kind, you're always, you know, and they are good qualities, but sometimes it could like do the opposite and hurt you in a way because then you let people run over top of you.
Totally. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot of ups and downs, I guess, for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
You also talked about how you were in a sexless marriage. Mm-hmm. And that was something that was going on with my marriage as well. Like I was very open about that and talked about that. And for me, that made me feel very like unattractive, very unwanted. And I lost a lot of like my confidence. Yeah. Did it affect you like that?
Yeah. You know, I think the sexless marriage made me think something was wrong with me to the point that I was like, maybe I like women. And so instead of being like, and I remember I was like, there was a period in my relationship where I felt like so sad and so disconnected, and like something was so wrong in my life. And I like looked to, I was like, maybe something's wrong in my career. Maybe I'm not doing enough self-care. Maybe I'm not. And I like looked to every part of my life except for like, oh no, maybe you don't have connection with your husband.
Yeah.
And so it was, I don't know if it was so much like the confidence piece for me. Well, I guess that is confidence, but it was just like really thinking something was wrong with me and I was the problem.
Yeah, I was definitely felt that way. Especially after having my son, my body changed like dramatically. Well, I feel like it had, and I just felt like I wasn't like desirable anymore. And he kind of like let me know that as well. So it was a very, very tough time for me, but it was weird because it was great in the beginning. We were together for 10 years. So it was great in the beginning, but then the last like couple years was just like non-existent.
Yeah.
And I heard you say whenever I was looking at your Instagram and stuff that you were talking about like checking boxes. Like you almost felt like it was something that you needed to do or had to do because it's like, you're basically my roommate at this point.
Yeah. Well, I think what's interesting about what I picked, and you're making me think of this earlier, like why we pick our partners. I'm forgetting which therapist, but it's basically we pick people who are like familiar but different than our parents because we're trying to resolve the wounds of our childhood. And if we pick someone who's like familiar enough, that's like that same wound, but different. And if we can fix them or save them or resolve that wound, then our like inner child will be okay. And so I think because I, my dad died when I was young and I had all this abandonment and longing stuff with him, I like desire was really scary for me, and desire felt really unsafe because I didn't want to touch that abandonment, anxiety, or longing again. And so I ended up picking a safe partner who was a friend, not knowing this consciously, but I picked someone who I didn't have desire with because desire was too scary. And so I think there was actually something almost safe about our sexless relationship because it didn't make me feel insecure. I didn't have to feel like I might be abandoned again. And so my situation was like a little bit different than yours. But I did think, oh no, like we have to figure this out and make this work. And so yes, we need to check the box. Like I'm going to have sex with my husband just so I can check the box and make sure that like we can make this work.
Yeah. I completely agree. It's such a strange feeling whenever you start feeling like you're almost roommates, and then it's like almost weird to try to like get that connection back. Then you almost feel like awkward.
Yeah.
Did you feel like that? I don't know. I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. Like once it gets to that point, and then it's just like kind of awkward.
Very awkward, very uncomfortable. But I even will say like postpartum with my husband, who's like the love of my life. Like, you all of a sudden having sex again after like I had an emergency C-section. I've got like this cut on my body. Like I don't feel this as sexy as I did before. Like I actually felt awkward, like being intimate with him again. And I felt vulnerable and I felt very, like it actually, I know it was interesting to see the insecurities come alive there.
A lot of women don't talk about that enough postpartum, and being intimate and stuff like that. A lot of people don't talk about it.
Yeah, it's like my body looks different. I lost my butt. Like
my boobs got huge and
they're massive. I'm squirting milk. Like
and you're just so tired. And it's just, oh my goodness. It's just so different. You talk about on the I Do Part 2 podcast. I did their podcast too. They're so sweet. That you say you didn't realize you were going after a particular kind of unhealthy relationship because I didn't feel lovable. I thought that if I could convince them that I was worthy of love, then I would finally be enough.
Yes. Yeah.
And that like makes so much sense to me because like you were saying earlier, I've always felt the need to change somebody. And I always felt that I would be the one that would change somebody. And it took me years and years and years and years to realize people aren't always going to change. They can do small changes, but everything is not just going to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm 36 now. I feel like I'm starting to age and it freaks me out. The neck especially freaks me out. I just feel like that's something that people can tell early on. that it starts changing, and I cannot stand that. You guys all know season 1 of The Valley. I got that lipo under my chin. My jaw was stuck weird for a little bit. I mean, I'm all about the neck and not having it look older. So I have found an amazing product, Go Pure. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. They are incredible. Your neck is out there for the world to see, and it's one of the first places to show signs of aging. That's why Go Pure Beauty created their revolutionary Tighten and Lift Neck Cream, which I love. Perfect for your summer skincare routine. Powered by clinically proven active ingredients, this advanced formula is designed to visibly firm, smooth, and rejuvenate the delicate skin on and around your neck and chest in as little as 4 to 8 weeks. It is amazing, guys. I'm not even kidding. Here's the thing. The skin on your neck is thinner, more delicate, and less oily than the skin on your face, which means it needs some extra love, especially in the sun and heat. Go Pure's firming complex targets the unique concerns of the neck while nourishing and strengthening your skin for a more lifted, youthful look, so you can feel confident showing a little more skin this summer. With over 1 million jars sold, this beauty secret is no longer a secret. For a limited time, our listeners get 25% off Go Pure with code REALITYHITS at checkouts. Just head to gopurebeauty.com, use code REALITYHITS, and you're all set. And after you buy, do us a favor. When they ask where you heard about Go Pure, tell them it was from our show, When Reality Hits. You guys will thank me later. It's so awesome. Finding the one can feel impossible. And in today's world, it's even harder. False profiles, inaccurate pictures, ghosting on dates. Is this sounding familiar? But if you're ready to make your move to a new place, it doesn't have to feel like dating. All it takes is a simple search on apartments.com to find your perfect match. Whether you're looking for a 3-bedroom condo downtown, a 2-bedroom duplex in a quiet neighborhood, a cozy studio in a walkable city, or even a single-family home in a cul-de-sac, you can find the place that checks all the right boxes. So whichever stage of life you're in, settle down in your perfect home by using apartments.com. No more swiping or awkward first dates. Make it easier to get a place that gets you. Visit apartments.com, the place to find a place.
Your book, your memoir is called Lovable, and I saw where you were saying that you didn't feel like you were lovable for a very long time.
Yeah.
And now you found the love of your life. Like how does that how does that happen to where it completely changes your outlook on how you feel as a woman?
Yeah, and I don't think it was about either guy. I think my love journey was a very personal journey. And I, up until I would say I actually learned to love myself with my ex. Because it was a safe relationship in a lot of ways. It allowed me to, for the first time, I wasn't with a guy who I was terrified would leave me, or who was very emotionally unavailable, or who it was a very toxic and an unhealthy dynamic. I had those where I was trying to convince them that I was enough and worthy. And if they would just love me, then I would finally know that I'm enough. And I was looking outside of myself for all of that love. So my ex, again, good guy, safe relationship, not my person, because it was a roommate and best friend.
Yeah.
But I did learn okay, I can actually be safe here because it's not toxic in the ways it had been before. And so I think that's when my self-love journey began. So by the time that I met John, this person who I felt like I was actually more ready to meet him, not from a place of where I was seeking him to be the answer, but I had learned to love myself enough that I didn't need him to love me to know that I'm lovable. I knew that I was in a place of I know myself. I like myself. I know how to take care of myself.
That's the key. We had to put ourselves first sometimes and really love ourselves.
Yeah. And I feel leaving my marriage and choosing him, really choosing myself, was actually one of my greatest acts of love so far. Acts of love.
I love your story. I could talk to you all freaking day. You were open about struggling with eating disorders. Do you mind to speak on that a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah. What were you doing? What was your?
Oof. I went through probably when I was around, I was always probably around 10 or 11, very obsessed first of all, with like, if I need to look a certain way to be worthy of love. And again, that came from like losing my dad. And then I had a shitty stepdad. And then just media and how the media presents what love and desire look like. And so because I didn't have a like secure father figure, I was like, oh, okay, so I need to look like that to be enough and to be worthy of love. So it started with like a lot of just like food restriction and obsessiveness that turned into using laxatives for, I guess in like a form of bulimia, that turned into Adderall use in college, that turned into, those were the main things.
Yeah. There's a lot of stigma about, especially living in LA and like how a woman should look. And I don't check all those boxes. So sometimes things like that can be like hard on me, but, I just really just try to be like, I'm glad I'm like different. I'm glad I don't look like every single person that walks around LA, you know. It takes a lot, but it does make me sad for little girls because the media is only getting stronger. Social media is only getting bigger. Yeah. And, you know, it just worries me what the young kids are going to have to deal with because we only had MySpace, you know, like they can't get away from bullying or anything. So it can be heartbreaking. Yeah. But I think you being open about all that, like you'll see it will help so many people. And you said so many people were already in your DMs and stuff talking to you about different things. Yeah. And that's why I'm always so open and honest about my story, because if I can help some women get out of a bad relationship, or if I can help people learn about autism, my son has autism, then I've done something good, you know? And I think that your book is really going to help a lot of people.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And it's beautiful work that you're doing too. It's amazing how just like telling the truth and letting yourself be seen can help others see themselves too.
Yeah. And I think you're amazing. Like I said, I could talk to you all day. What is the main thing that you want people to take away from your memoir?
I want them, you know, there's a few things, but I want them to know that they have one life to live. Mm-hmm. And I want them to live it as honestly and fully and truly as possible. And to put down what other people think they should do, and to put down the expectations and who they think they need to be to make other people happy, and to start asking themselves the question of like, what would make me happy? What would feel true to me? What does my aliveness look like? And to, you know, turn their attention away from everyone else and to turn it back to themselves and to make choices from that place. Because I believe that when we make choices from that place, we actually create the most beautiful world. Like women who honor themselves create a beautiful world, I believe.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You just have this like great positive energy, and I love it.
Thank you.
Like you're just making me smile, and you know, I've learned so much about things that you've said to me just today on the podcast. So I really appreciate you coming on the show, because I think a lot of women are going to love this, and everybody needs to go get your book, Lovable. I ask everybody that comes on the show, I don't know if you watch much reality TV, but I am a reality TV podcast. What is your favorite reality TV show?
You know, I'm a big sucker for The Bachelor.
Okay. I have so many friends that were on The Bachelor that I've met throughout the years, so I get it.
I literally have not watched a television show since I had a child, which is crazy.
I'm like, that's my favorite pastime.
Oh my God. Between having a baby, we were in LA, we got pushed out by the fires. So between sorry. We had like a 3-month-old, the fire got to the edge of our neighborhood. We had between the baby fires, we moved 17 times in 4. I was like, I have not had time to watch TV, but I look forward to the day where I sit down with a glass of wine and watch an episode of The Bachelor.
So who would be your favorite reality TV star?
Oh,
it could be somebody from The Bachelor. Who was your favorite?
I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite. I'm trying to think. Joey, I thought was very sweet. He's also just like the first name I'm remembering.
He's the one that did Dancing with the Stars, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I've met him a couple times. He's nice in real life, just as well.
I feel like people are like, he's beta, or like, I was like, just because he's like kind and nice. I was like, it was like nice to see. Like, I felt like he was genuine and sincere. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Well, I love that. Thank you so much for coming on. Can you tell everybody where to find you and where they can get your book?
Yeah, Lovable is available everywhere books are sold. I'm Hey Amber Rae on Instagram, and my website, amberrae.com, has all the links to all the things.
Yay, amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. I loved your story. And like I said, you're going to help so many people. So I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for listening to When Reality Hits. We'll see you next week.
Just when you thought summer couldn't get any hotter, Pluto TV is turning up the heat with thousands of free movies. Presenting Summer of Cinema. Stream your favorite blockbuster films like Gladiator.
I will have my vengeance.
Good Burger.
This is what I call fast food.
Beverly Hills Cop. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And Julie and Julia.
Bon appetit.
All for free on your favorite devices. Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.